My name's Art, and this is my introduction speech to the basis of body language. So picture this scenario. You're at home, and there's some children playing outside, when all of a sudden, you hear broken glass and bottles. So you go outside, and you see this little boy with his hands behind his back and his face down. And then you ask him, "Did you do that?" And he replies, "No, it wasn't me," and he covers his mouth. Will you then take your course of action based on his gestures or his words? Preferably, you're going to choose over his gestures, since if gestures contradict his words, we are more likely to take action based on the gestures, according to body language expert Alan Pease. Human communication consists of 93% body language, while the other 7% consists of words themselves. Research suggests that between 60 to 70% of body language 60 to 70% of meanings is derived from nonverbal behavior. So, in this speech, I'm going to demonstrate how to communicate using body language. So, first, I will demonstrate how to communicate using your hands and your arms. And second, I will demonstrate how to communicate using your face and your expressions. And last, I will demonstrate how to communicate using your environment. So, using your arms and hands is crucial when it comes to body language. So the first way you want to use your hands and your arms is you want to use your hands to you want to control your arms. You don't want them to be flailing around and distracting your audience. You want to have some control so it doesn't cause a distraction to your audience and you could get your point across. You could use your arms to help you get your point across more efficient. For example, when you're saying a point, you could use your hands in a matter of adding weight to your point or to describe an object to get a better sense to the audience. You could also, one thing you do not want to do with your hands is you do not want to cause them like this. This will make you seem guarded and insecure. You want to have your arms open and your legs open as well, giving you a confident feeling and giving you security that you know what you're saying. If you cross your arms, it's known as an arm barrier. And research asserts that when a person crosses his arms, receptiveness goes down by 40%, making it harder for you to get your point across. So you want to make sure you keep your arms open and your legs open and seem confident. The next thing you want to do to communicate with your arms and hands is you want to say you want to give orders. You want to keep your palms facing up and not down. If your palms are facing up, this makes you seem less threatening and more acceptable. And if your palm is facing down, it makes it seem a bit threatening and make it seem as if you're giving orders. For example, if you want this side of the class to move to this side and this side of the class to move to this side, if I say with my palms open, it makes it seem non-threatening and more acceptable. But if I would say, will this side of the class move to this side and this side of the class move to this side, it makes it seem a bit threatening. And if I'm giving orders, causing people might get irritated and not respond to your orders. So when trying to give orders, make sure you put your hands towards your audience and you put your palms facing up. And it'll make you seem less threatening and a better response from your audience. The next thing you want to do when communicating with your hands, if I could get some assistance, is by a simple handshake. When you give a handshake, there are three things taking place. You're either transmitting equality, dominance, or submissive. So you want to make sure when you give a handshake to say either equal or you want to be the dominant. And that means if your hand's on top, you're being the dominant one, and you're saying that you're going to be the boss. But if your hand's in the bottom, it means you're being submissive and you're prepared to give in. So when you give a handshake, you want to make sure you're the equal or you're the dominant one. And one way to make sure you're the dominant is swap your handshake with your hand on top, forcing him to submit to you to make it equal as well. So that's one way to communicate positive body language. The next thing you want to know, the reminder to keep your hands controlled and not have them playing around or making fidgeting movements, as maybe if you have a table doing this, just keep them to your side and use them to your advantage. Remember, adding weight to your point and using them to describe objectives. The next way is facial expressions and your head. You want to make sure when you're using your head to make eye contact with your audience, whether it's a large audience or small. Try to make eye contact with everybody. This helps build a stronger connection and make sure your audience is listening. So, but you do not want to stare either. If you keep staring at just one audience, it might creep them out and think you're just staring at them. But creating no eye contact might make them lose your attention and not get your point across. The next thing, when it comes to your head and your face, is you want to nod when you're listening or you're saying something. For example, if your friend is telling you an idea and you agree with his idea, you want to express your opinion with a nodding. Like, for example, if he tells you an idea and you agree with his idea, you want to say, yes, that's a great idea, nodding your head up and down. It makes you seem honest and trustworthy about your opinion. But if you disagree, you want to nod your head to the side to symbolize that it's not such a great idea. For example, no, that is not a great idea. It makes you seem honest, and you're being honest with him, and he'll take your word that it's not a good idea. The next thing you want to do when it comes to your face is you want to smile and laugh at the appropriate times. For example, when you meet someone, you want to smile, but don't keep that smile flatter on your face. It makes you seem kind of weird if you just keep the smile on your face. It might make you seem like if it was a fake smile. And also, you want to laugh when the time is right. People are more willing to open to a person with a positive attitude and a good sense of humor, allowing you to communicate better and transfer points easier. The next way to communicate using, one thing you do not want to do with your face is touch it when you speak. If you keep touching while you speak, it will make you seem nervous about what you're saying and possibly make your audience think that you're lying about what you're saying. So keep your hands to your side. Once again, control them and use them to your advantage to get your point across. The next thing is communicating with your environment. You want to take up space, be confident in your own skin, and let the audience know that you know what you're saying and you're being true to them and trying to help them. But one thing you want to avoid is invading your audience's personal space, because everybody has their own personal space, and if it's invaded, they might get uncomfortable and try to stay away from you and not listen to you. So make sure you give your audience their personal space and not come too close. And once again, don't stay too close to your audience. So in this speech, I demonstrated how you communicate positively using body language by using your arms and your hands and using your head and your expressions to communicate, and also using your environment to communicate a positive body language and get your point across. So next time you are speaking with someone, you know what they're actually thinking regardless of what they're saying. And body language is a skill that everybody should know, because in the real world you're going to be doing a lot of communication, and if you know what people are thinking regardless of what they're saying, it's going to help you understand what you guys are talking about and discussing. So body language with practice and practice will become to you like a second language, and it will help you in your life, and I guarantee it.